Greetings from Florida. We're working on a 2012 to 2015 Camaro. This is the driver's side. The video is at double speed to make it easier to watch. And we're changing the window regulator. Have a couple small screws at the very bottom there under the door panel, which I think were probably 7. You got to take off that plate and the cover right there in the inside handle. And then you have, could have been 10 millimeter, I think it's 5/16 bolts there. On the bottom it's probably 7 millimeter or 9/32 to do it too. And then I believe it lifts up. Let's see. It's either up or out. Oh, I popped off the speaker cover. And there was another small screw there, a couple on the bottom. So it didn't go straight up, so we're going to pull it out. After you get the panel off, you've got a couple wiring harnesses to simply unplug, and then the wire cable that goes to the chrome pull handle. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you might need a small thin pair of needle nose pliers to pop that off. And I unplugged the small speaker at the top that covers the side view mirror. Remember that that's where that plug is. When I was done, I was a little bit lost as to what that extra plug was, but that was a plug for the small speaker. Looks like I got everything. Here's that cable, had the green on it. That's what goes to the chrome handle that gets you out of the car. And for the sake of this video, so you can see everything, I'm taking off all the wiring harnesses. Normally you can probably do this without removing everything, just by peeling that moisture barrier back enough so that you can get access to the bolts that hold the regulator in place. This really isn't that complicated once you get the regulator out. Yeah, we'll need to take off that speaker. Comes off pretty easy. Now I was trying to get to the 10 millimeter bolts that hold the regulator to the glass that way. I think eventually I cut the cables, which is fine. Don't cut any electrical cables, but you're welcome to cut the metal cables. And this one I just couldn't get access to, so I ended up cutting the cables. Which is fine, you know, you're getting a new regulator anyway. Just make sure the regulator is the problem before you start cutting cables. But here you go, right there. Pair of linesman's pliers. I'm going to cut that right there. Should be able to lift the window up. Nope. So I'm going to cut it right there as well. Not there. There we go. Now the 10mm bolt on the right simply loosens, I think. The one on the left has to come off. That goes through the glass. So you can actually take it off. Once you get up to the top, it's easy to get that bolt out, and then you got 5, I believe, 10mm around the door. Oh, one on the bottom of the door, one's underneath. Sorry, I'm blocking you a little bit there. And I just used a suction cup, $2.99 from Harbor Freight Tools. Harbor Freight, great company. They were very proactive during the pandemic. They helped out a lot of people, and they also have everything, you know, cheap, great tools. Although I don't buy my power tools from them, I get my power tools from Bosch. It's always been the best. The 36-volt Bosch drill is probably the strongest drill I've ever run. And then the Bosch little screwdriver that you see me with. Pull out the pieces that fell to the bottom of the door. I'm opening the package. If I was smarter, if I knew that I had the right part with me. But before you dive into this, you might want to open the box and make sure you have the correct regulator for that door. In this case, I got the factory part. You don't want to get everything out and then realize you got the wrong side. On that side, you have to get the bolt through the bottom. So make sure that's lined up. And that allows you to go ahead and slide it back and forth. Even after the door panel is back on, you can loosen that nut just a little bit on the very bottom. And you can slide it back and forth. If you find the glass is tilting in or out of the cockpit too far, you can make that minor adjustment. You'll find that on most convertibles. Hey, do me a favor. If this was a beneficial video for you, go ahead and like, L-I-K-E, like the video. That will help other people find it on YouTube that are looking for it as well. It's appreciated. Yeah, the other one's on the bottom as well. Same deal. After it's all back together, if you need to adjust it a little bit, you can slide those back and forth just half an inch or so. Oh, a little bit of WD-40 on the channel on the side, the run channel that the glass travels in. You don't have to soak it, just give it a quick spritz. They dry out and cause the glass to grab. And it looks like I did take the glass out. Now keep in mind, the bolt on the left goes through the glass. There's a hole in the glass. So you'll need to line that up properly. And you don't want to over tighten it, obviously. Now I'm plugging it in. I was trying to move the regulator down a little bit, I think, to get better access to the area that I'm going to have to put the bolts in. Or, yeah, there you go. So we're getting access to it there for that bolt. Also, once all is said and done, once you finish this project, you're going to need to reset the automatic. That's probably one of the hardest things to do on this. That's where the feature where you open the door and it comes down 1/4 of an inch on its own to get out of the car, and then it goes back up when you click. I'm checking that out right now. And to do that, in theory, the way it's done is you put your finger on the button, put the window all the way up, continue to hold your finger on the button for 10 seconds after the window is all the way up. Theoretically, that should reset it. Sometimes it takes a couple tries to get that done right. To put the, right now I'm taking off the metal clips so I can put the rubber strip back on. Now those have indentation points on the door panel, on the yellow door panel, where they want you to put that in. So that's kind of easy because it shows you right there where they go. So then you're going to put the seal strip on, the belt molding on, and then the door panel is going to push into those clips. So I did remove the belt molding to get the glass out. Make sure it's all tamped down nicely. And at this point I had an extra wiring harness. I was not sure what that was. That went to the small speaker at the upper right that covers the side view mirror. So if you have an extra wiring harness, you can't figure it out, that's probably where it goes. And this is the part where I was testing it out to see if I could get, I mean, the auto was working. It just wasn't aligning correctly. And if you find that the glass seems to be out of line, you can make a small adjustment right here. Just loosen those two 10mm bolts, and you can go ahead and put the glass, pull the glass up or down 1/4 of an inch, and then you can tighten those bolts again. Just closing it to see if it lines up. Another problem these have, which is significant, on the convertibles, on the back 1/4 windows on the glass, that strip comes off and you can glue it back on. You can use Chevy Weld, any good 2-part epoxy. The problem is that it usually falls inside the door, inside the back panel of the door, and you've got to take the regulator out to get access to it. Sometimes it falls off and like flies off into the street and you're not going to see it again. They don't sell the strip, you got to buy the glass. It gets expensive. So if you have any questions, ask away right here on YouTube. I'll be glad to get back to you within a day or so. I appreciate you watching, and I think from this point you're probably going to be good. Have a great week.